Yeah. That's cute. Okay.
What's up, guys? Welcome to today's podcast. So, like I talked about yesterday, I have a special guest in the studio. This podcast is brought to you by my friends at MinervaBeauty.com. Check out, they've got some unbelievable deals. I think they just sent out something yesterday that was like, basically, we're giving away the store in a way. So my favorite color card's like $79, like half off. There's so many different things. So go check out MinervaBeauty.com/FSE to get your deals now, because things that we're going to talk about today are not only about, what's going on with the quarantine and all of that. I've got Robert Cromines on here, and we're going to talk about changing your salon a little bit, making it different for the return. So not only are we going to have an influx of tons of clients, but you got to change your business, change the thought process behind your business as well. So I'd like to say welcome to Robert Cromines and Mary Cromines. Hello, guys.
Hi, Matt.
Welcome. I'm very excited to have you guys on the show. I haven't interviewed Robert in like 6 years, so it's been a long time. I was just new into doing this whole thing, so it's cool to have you on here, both of you, and to hear your insight. So, Robert, normally for this show, I like to pull up a bunch of questions, see the people in the chat, feed it with questions. I know with you, I don't have to do that. I know that you've already got your thing. You're going to control this whole situation. So what I want you to do is just kind of, why don't you do the intro I actually want to give an intro as well, but I'm going to let you do your intro and just kind of talk about what you guys are up to and what you've been up to. And then I want to talk about you a little bit, and then we'll get started with talking about the quarantine and all of that. We're live on Minerva Beauty's Facebook, Free Salon Education everywhere on YouTube, Facebook, and all of that. I can see everybody's chat and the questions coming through. So we will answer your questions. So post them. Yeah. Let us know where you're at, where you're living. And after we do our spiel, then we'll start answering some questions as well. So Robert, take it away.
Well, every time there's a crisis, things change. And I love this point of view. My best creation, Matt, in my whole life has been when I was opening a salon the first time, I came up with a concept called Color Bar. So it was an idea in my head that I was able to make happen because I was starting anew. So, we talk about Minerva. I see my salon very differently than I did before in so many aspects. Somebody said, Robert, what have you learned so far? I learned I was a sucky leader. I'm a great leader for the industry, but not so present in my own business. Now I'm there, I'm doing hair, I'm hanging out, but not in the way that we have over this last few weeks. We've been communicating more. It's not socially distant, it's physically distant. So we've got kind of plans of what we're saying to the team, what we're doing with the team. My favorite analogy right now, my ring light just likes to flicker. We're stopped at a red light that's going to turn green. And what I really love about that analogy, have you ever been sitting at a red light? You're sitting there thinking, this thing's never going to turn. Then you reach, God forbid, your phone, grab something, and then somebody behind you honks because you're not ready. So the kind of thing I want to kind of phrase in this conversation, it's ready, set, go. So we're all going through different points at different stages. Some of you are dealing with the loan parts, but that too shall pass. We got to get the ready part. And I visualize a whole new area, ripping out furniture that used to sit people for a reality of now coming straight into the service station, much like you would do in a massage room or any other of that type of facial beauty regime. Our system we use, Matt, you'll love this, is called Weave. It's a phone system. They already have curbside waiting on our app. So the client would pull up to the salon, wait outside. So we're getting rid of valet. I mean, I'm just saying, in my imaginarium, this is the greatest time of being Robert Cromines because there's something, this is what guys like me pray for. And every one of us has a restart, and your business may have been doing awesome. You're going to be fine. Some of you may not have been doing awesome, and you have a chance to recover, to reimagine your salon and repace it financially, rethink it all the way up. This is a very interesting time to get ready, to align the team, to get ready for the new you. And even if you're an independent stylist, there'll be a huge shift in that market, just like there has been with Instagram. That will now
Yeah.
have another tide. I did a call with 600 owners yesterday in the UK, and they said a lot of hairdressers that are leaving the salons are not coming back. They're going to do hair at home. It's affecting the industry in so many avenues, and this is a great opportunity. It's like the division point of the ear. It's a time to change technique because you got permission. We've been
Right.
given permission, like a price increase during a crisis. Are you nuts? The answer is yes, because the value of a hairdresser, this is going to be the biggest change in the hair industry since Vidal Sassoon. Fact.
Yeah.
We're going to change how we think about our rates. We're not going to be stacking clients, racking clients, fewer clients, more meaning. I call it hair traffic control, opening earlier, opening later, shifts, only a few people in the building, safety measures like you don't imagine. We have a list of 10 things we're going to keep you safe, and 3 they've got to do. And I see us taking temperatures, Matt, on staff members every day.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where we're going. It's a whole new service style, but because we're going slower, forget selling a haircut. Think about, I have a haircut color appointment available at 2. I'll take that. It's going to change everything, and it's going to slow us down. And I'll tell you this, Matt, I love being a hairdresser, but we get very guilty of getting overworked and underpaid, so we stack and rack to compensate. Every business has been built on volume and performance. We got to take away the volume. So what is an hour increment worth? What is a 2 hour? It's almost like we're selling timeshare. These appointments are valuable. We also put a cancellation policy in for the first time ever. That's a 2-way street, 50% if you cancel without 24 hours notice, and a 50% discount if we do it to you.
Yeah.
Talk about system change. And the team are with me. I said, let's go walk over fire, go to work. They're like, yes, Daddy, let's go. This is a beautiful time to start over, to reset, and to begin again, in a sense. So I think, this is an incredible time to rethink. We're creative people. We don't need hair in our hands to be creative. This is a second chance and a new way to kind of get control of everything in your life, not just your business, your own life. If you've been loving quality time with your kids, maybe you should carve more out. Some of you are working too much. You start to hate people. Work less. Have more meaningful relationships. Have real conversations. I'm going to bring my wife into this.
That was a big intro.
We called clients
That was
personally, and I watched her call clients. And Matt, nobody complained about their roots. Nobody was dying over their hair growing out. The sentiment was, we care about you. Are you guys safe? They were so touched by the direct phone call. And I think every hairdresser's got to do that. Call the clients. If you're an owner, get over it. They've already got your client's number. Call the clients personally. How are you doing? It's not going to turn into a hair conversation. Grow your hair out. Rest it like the planet. We'll get back to it. I love people that come to see me. They grow out their hair to see me for the first time. This is going to be a great revolution. Instagram, watch out. We're going to have a full appointment to take the before shot and the after shot and post the shit out of it. I mean, this is a revolution. It's all the time we wanted. But the thing I'll get to, and I'll let you get involved a bit, it's the new pricing. If I'm going to suggest for you to reduce your business by 30%, you must increase your price at least 30%. And that's just a rough scale. So we reimagine what these slots are. People are talking right now about prime time, those hotspots perhaps costing more. Thinking in an hourly rate, in California, we have to pay that way. And I think this is a mindset moving forward. We're going to start to really value time like never before. And almost like, reservations for dinner at 7:30, these prime times, and knowing what we can do to fill our businesses 7 days a week, which is great for the overhead too. So there's many great aspects of it, but there's a touch point, and it's don't forget what we do. We touch people, but that call to the folks is critical. What would you say about that? I know I said everything.
You did say, you said everything.
I did that.
But Mary,
That's
I think
why I didn't
the great thing is for me is I know that you've definitely been in the front lines and you're talking to the guests, and a lot of people are struggling right now with what to say to their guests and all of those things. So how are you approaching that from your guys' salon standpoint? Like what are you saying to them? Are you communicating with everybody? Is it email? Like, is it text? How are you going about it?
Wow, we are doing everything. We're using every avenue that's available to us. So the first thing we did was we got with our management team and our reservationists. So we have about 5 or 6 people with us, and we had a call and we just brainstormed, and we pulled from Robert's dialogue. We pulled from the Chamber of Commerce, what they're saying for people for the stay-at-home order, so we could have that level of professionalism and the government's order. And we wrote out what we were going to say. So we scripted what the reservationists and the managers were going to say when they called everybody. And the first thing that we asked them to do, though, was to call and check on the guest, call and say like, hi, Robert, this is Mary from a Robert Croming salon. Since we're all under quarantine with the stay-at-home order, I'm calling to check on you, see how you're doing. So that's the first part. So we made it personal. And then of course they're like, oh no, we knew you were going to call. So,
Right.
we know you're closed. We're so worried about you. We hope you guys are all okay. And then, we proceeded with letting them know, we're closed until further notice. This is what we're going to do. We have a priority list for you with this stylist, A, B, and C. We're also finding out which time of day they prefer to get their hair done. And we're getting their email addresses too, because we did have that missing link. We have all the software and everything through using Millennium, but we were a little bit lazy on getting people's emails. A lot of people just preferred text, but we're really making sure we have every way to communicate with them. So our reservation has started immediately on the calls, because obviously we closed on March 17th and we had, obviously we're booked for the next 3 months. So we had to start calling and getting those guests rescheduled or canceled as soon as possible. So for us right now, the conversation has been, this is canceled until further notice. We'll keep you posted. You're our top priority when we get back. So really making them feel valued. We also went and we sent out an e-blast right away. We posted on social media because that was quick and easy. I used Canva. I just popped something up that said we're closed until further notice. Obviously, everybody understands what's going on, so doesn't need much explanation. Then we sent out an e-blast, and Robert was really particular in making sure that it wasn't just with the big coronavirus subject, making it be Debbie Downer. He always is healthy outcome, positive outlook, and kind of stepping out of the box a little bit. So of course, we all have tons of friends that are in the beauty industry. So my best friend from back east got an e-blast from the salon she used to work at. And this salon really made it fun. And they had, they kind of made it cartoony with girls with their bangs grown out and acting like they're going to cut their hair. And it was basically just a blurb saying like, listen, I know it's been almost 2 weeks that we've been closed. I know you're stressing out about your hair. Your bangs are getting long. Resist the urge to cut. Here's a link to see all the bang trims at home gone wrong. So don't do it. So it's like a link to a YouTube video. And then we proceeded with, maybe you can wear your hair up, and it showed them fun little things to do as an alternative. Put your hair up, sweep your bangs, do a braid, wear a hat, wear a scarf. And a lot of the guests replied like, thanks for the fun, tips and tricks on how to do my hair differently. Because most guests, some people are on YouTube looking on how to do their hair in their normal day. But most guests that are going to work every day, they work at an office, they're pretty much looking to have a similar hairstyle. They're not trying to stand out with their hair. Now in this time, they're like, how do I camouflage my roots? How do I get rid of my bangs while they're way too long? So they really like those tips and tricks. So we did that. And so we're trying to do like an e-blast every week to the guests to stay in communication, and also have that system that Robert spoke about, which is Weave. They have, I talk more than you.
No,
Sorry.
go in depth. I want to hear about Weave, because it's great to say that you're doing it, but what is it? Because I would definitely want to know that.
Weave is amazing. It's so cool. A former employee of ours actually went to like a hair show in Long Beach or something and brought this technology to us, and she's like, this is so cool. So Weave is an actual phone company, and it's great that it's called Weave because it seems like it's totally in alignment with the hair industry, but it's actually started with it's a company that's about 10 years old. They won a competition kind of like Shark Tank in Silicon Valley, and they got funded. And they're mostly in doctors' offices and dentist offices. So it's a texting system back and forth through your phone company. So I don't have AT&T or Cox or anything like that for our phone company now. We have Weave. Weave is who hosts our phones. And so now what we can do is you upload like a CSV of all your guests' names and numbers, and they go into the computer. So now our guests can text our salon phone number directly. So it's not some random number that they don't recognize. They text, a Robert Croming salon. Hey, my name's Mary. I'm looking to get a reservation with Robert on June 6th. And then there's a few things that happen. One, you get an automatic text back if it's after business hours that will say, we're currently closed. We'll get back to you tomorrow.
That's
basic. If you call the salon when we're in business and say, all the phones are going, nobody can answer the phone, you get voicemail. You automatically get a text to your cell phone if you call from a cell phone that says, we're currently assisting another guest. You personalize all these messages. We're currently assisting another guest. We'll get back to you shortly. If you'd like to let us know what you're looking to have done, what reservation, what type of service, who you're having it with, that would be great. And we'll call you back shortly. And this goes right to the computers. So it pops up on our screen. So the reservationist knows I have, 3 calls to get back to, and they can text them back right from the computer. That's pretty amazing. You can also personalize your voicemail. So Robert's done all the voicemail messages for our salons. He's already changed them 3 times because when we got it last year in November, we did one that was just, happy and fun and great. And we're in business and so busy and can't wait to do more business. And then we're like, oh God, he's like, we got to change the messages. So the messages are totally customizable, but it's really great because it's a lot more personal. It's not just saying, Mary, I'm confirming your reservation, press C to confirm or N for no. So it is a back and forth conversation. Guests can text and say, oh, I'm running 15 minutes behind. They don't have to take up the space on your phone call that you're taking with your guests. So that's really cool. And it's allowing us the opportunity to find out exactly which guests prefer to text, which guests like email, which guest wants the personal phone call. But it really has taken our business to a whole nother level because now guests aren't mad that they're sitting on hold. They're not mad that they can still leave a voicemail, absolutely, but they'll automatically get that text. But now they're not feeling like, oh, I left you a message on Sunday or Monday when you were closed and nobody ever got back to me. So at least they get some form of communication right away. The other thing about Weave is that they have wellness forms, and Robert mentioned this in the beginning about that curbside waiting room. So especially for doctors and dentists and things like that, they're offering curbside waiting room. And basically what that means is when you pull up, you text and say, hey, Matt, it's Mary. I'm your 12 o'clock reservation. I'm here. And then at this point during quarantine, we would say, I'm going to text you. We're running 5 minutes behind. I'm going to text you when you're ready to come, when I'm ready for you to come in. So that way they, for whatever the reason, we're sanitizing, we're cleaning, we're getting a couple extra people out of the building to make room for the full amount of people that we could have. But they're not sitting in the waiting room, just sitting there waiting and thinking about who's coughing, who's sneezing, is this seat dirty? So that's one of the things. They also have another wellness form that you can email and or text to your guests before their reservation. And we want to implement this one as well. And it's basically just 5 questions that, have you had a fever in the last 3 days? Have you been out of the country in the last 2 weeks? What was the other one? Have you been in contact with someone that is COVID-19 positive? There's like 4 or 5 questions. And then they would fill that survey out and send it back to you. And if any of the questions are yes, we're going to ask to reschedule your reservation for when you're well.
I really like that a lot, actually. I know that's a giant commercial for Weave, and it's needed because I don't even know how to make my voicemail change through Comcast. So, I think that's a great,
Well,
I can help you. It was pretty amazing.
The thing I want to say about this, and there's been a few systems we've all used. What was the Demand Force?
We had Demand Force.
Yeah.
That definitely came from the medical industry too, and I think that we got to look at other businesses like-minded. I'm curious what hotels are going to do to make me feel safe in a hotel room on that pillow somebody else has slept in. Everybody's going to have to rethink it as we go through. I was on a call this morning with a great guy, Anthony Whitaker. I think you know Anthony, don't you, Matt?
Yep.
He's like to me a professor. I'm a very passionate hairdresser. I own a salon, and Anthony's got a different position. He coaches so many different types, and he's, he kind of put it into this. So I said to him, I'm going to steal this before you get it on camera. He's going to be so mad at me, but I'll give him a plug. He's a brilliant guy. He writes books called Grow. He's got a great podcast thing going. I've done a couple with Mary. I get to do more of the talking on that one than this one. But it said, what could you do in your new business was the first category. Then it's what can you do? What must you do? Must you do is the government regulations. What must you do to make a client safe? And then what will you do? So in that get ready, get set, I think we've got to break it down to, we can go through whatever. Somehow just my company felt like it was a 2-week vacation. We would have quarantinis with them on Zoom.
We have them tonight.
Right.
We had a costume party last week. Oh my God, you think I'm weird. You should see my crew in action. I've loved seeing into the living rooms. I've loved seeing them holding babies. It's been a really great connection. I don't feel distant in so many ways, but we've got to really focus on the reset of the business. So, let's talk about the payment plan that we have to visualize in that future way. For me, getting one of the stores, I've had it open 5 days. There's a lot of things like a call center could be very valuable depending on your size. That touch point of human control directed to just conversations is critical. It's the part we can't give away to technology. That personal touch is what we specialize in. So I think it's a really, important time to use these kind of things to make a difference. So, in the getting our team's already being coached on some thoughts on pricing moving forward. We've now created a hypothetical schedule and book, just like the old column looked, now what it would look like. So I call it hair traffic control, that you're spreading these down, you're really making it there enough time to turn it over. This is what's going to have to happen. And then what is the cost of doing business now? And most of us never knew when we started what the cost of doing business was. Today, at least we know from history what it used to be. I also believe, because I talk to people like Van and others, it's time for a renegotiation with your landlord. We have leverage right now. One guy asked me for 50% rent for 3 months. I'm like, wow, you're off your rocker, Bubby. And then afterwards, on the time I need to recover, what am I going to have to help soften it, just like a brand new business? And maybe there's some improvements I need to make it safer. So where's my help here? So I think it's a renegotiation. If you have a towel service, renegotiate. I don't care who you can choose, renegotiate a little bit. It's a time to leverage in. We've all started. It's not something that happened to me because I suck. It's something that happened to all of us. So it's a reset. In California, they increase minimum wage quite often, and a lot of the businesses there just put it on as a surcharge, like a resort fee. And what I'm saying is we've got to look at our price structure right now, and clients are going to be aware that there's a cost of doing business. I work for Paul Mitchell. Every once in a while, we increase the cost of the products, not for JP's sake and wallet, because the cost of doing business has risen. And I think it's very important that we understand that. Anthony Whitaker said it the best. We don't own salons, guys. We have businesses. And this is a time to reset your business model, reset your dream, whatever that is. If you want to be an independent stylist, be an independent stylist. The set of standard practices you build around safety is going to be as critical to you as it is to us. But this is a whole new imaginarium. And I just love that everybody in the whole world is at the same set point. Everybody's going to recover from this except Corona beer. That's my theory. That company's going to suck. But everything else is going to recover, because I love commercials on TV. You've seen them. Domino's do stair side delivery, not door delivery. Cars are being delivered without a touch point. So it's fewer touch points in the salon. So our Weave system will let the client pay, so she doesn't have to give her credit card to anybody. We're getting rid of our assistant program as we knew it, because we don't think we want strangers. I think Uber may have a tough time. Who's getting in that stranger's car? There's been 4 people in the car. Everybody's going to, and if you can show the client it's the safest place on the planet, and all you want to do is spend quality time. I made a video once about the indulgence of water. That's my sexy vision for the wash house. We all know people love it, and we are rushing people, stacking them. What was my pace thing?
It's not a race, it's about the pace.
It's not a race, it's about the pace. Because to me, we pace too much to make up for our lower numbers. And I think if we spent more quality time, and I just visualize this on our haircut, I have the perfect time to take a selfie, to do a great consultation, to really give them a consult. The number one drop-off rate after 3 visits for all of us is the client doesn't return. Your first consultation was magic, your second was meaningless, and your third was just the usual please. And I hate to say it, but I got the numbers to prove it, Matt. So I can see an industry, I can see my own company. This is a time to reevaluate that each little hour increment is worth it. So now I do a great consultation every time. Now I do a perfect haircut experience. I make take-home recommendations involving you doing it all, and I close it out with a perfect chapter or a future reservation, because who's not going to want a future reservation now? Reservation slip me 100. It's like getting a restaurant table. Give me 100, I'll get you in.
Yeah, somebody sent me a message. Somebody sent me a message the other day, and they were like, what am I going to do? I have 4-inch roots. I'm like, the salon's been closed for 3 weeks. You shouldn't have 4-inch roots. Like, that's where people, they will rebook now. They will be more consistent. They will not let it go as far, because you never know what tomorrow brings. And when the salon won't be there. So that's great.
I had a guest text me and say, I can't believe I had to cancel last minute on you last time. I regret it so much. I will never cancel again. Even if it was for her kids, they had like a baseball game or something. And she's like, even if it's for their baseball game, no, I'm not doing it.
I don't know if you did you see the poem I wrote about staying home?
Oh,
Cat in
no.
the Hat wrote a poem. You guys got to check out Mary and I's feed for the last few weeks. We got some good conversations.
It is interesting. I was going through it last night to catch up. I said I was catching up on some Robert Cromines, and you are fired up.
It got pushed. No, it's pushed around a bit. And that little poem was something that came. Colin Caruso was all fired up on staying home. I hadn't thought about it. Yeah. And I sat and thought, what can I do to help Colin? So I wrote a poem, and I had Mary do it. So she's gorgeous on camera. And, you know, the underlying message is there. But the thing I want to bring up, because there's so much controversy right now on that home hair color, I want to give you some facts about the beauty industry. 70% of hair color is already done at home. So if you all think it's about fixing box color, we'd already be in demand.
Yeah.
Crickets, we're not. So understanding that the reality of our business is, yes, some people will. Martino, God bless him, he ran out, he's selling color kits. Same question. He had a line out the door on day one.
Yeah.
Where was all these clients then? And I'm not judging Martino. I think he's a beautiful spirit, and he inspired many. But to me, it's time to let your hair rest like the planet is resting. I love if you could grow out your bangs, I'll make a huge change on you. Let's get your layers out a little bit. What a great way. I also see in the future, Matt, that maybe that pushing 4 weeks and 6 weeks may strengthen and go back to recession numbers where the frequency of visit is less, but bigger values, spreading out the appointments in different ways. So not being in such a hurry every 4 weeks at that price, it worked. But what about at this price? Quality experience. This is a whole, you know, we have a thing out here called In-N-Out Burger. It's just a quality experience. You can't fail ever. I love Ray Kroc, and I want to say this: when we do go back to work, we have to do a dress rehearsal. So not only a soft grand opening, a dress rehearsal like Ray Kroc would. We all go to work on it that week, and there's many ways we're going to come to work before we start, as in reimagining things. But in that week before, we do a soft opening, and everybody brings in their friends and family, and we give a try on with our new systems, with our new sanitary laws, with our new dialogue, with our new increments of time of keeping the space in the building, and working off the script again, like I would build a script for a show to run an hour. This is what it should look like. And if we stick to that, we have a chance to reboot a whole beauty industry. And I mentioned Vidal at the top of the show. Hairdressers didn't think about themselves as earning money. Vidal changed that value in so many ways for the beauty industry. And that's why I've paralleled to something he's done. There's been huge change between freelance and, you know, teams. That doesn't matter to me. I want to talk to 1 million hairdressers. How you do your business is your choice. I believe in the freedom. We're a very inclusive culture. I get to work for many organizations that celebrate, you know, like SOLA, like Salon Republic. I get to work with these organizations. I love hairdressers. That's just it, period. I want them all to do well, and however people see their business plan. But we all still have to put that interpretation through our business. I once coached the military, and they said the military is very rigid. They'll never do anything you say. I gave them color bar. They said, we'll call it color ops. I said, what would you call take home? They said provisions. I go, you guys are clever. You know, it's how you reimagine your world. And that's a great beginning for a lot of us. I really get excited by. And at Paul Mitchell, we're doing a lot of things to really help people change their business model. Just like I said, I want to get rid of my waiting room chairs. I'm going to fill that with product. I'm going to look like Sephora. I'm going to make a bigger deal about the show opportunities. And I think, again, this is an exciting time. And
can I ask you about that?
Yeah.
So I heard you say yesterday, talking about the waiting room, taking away the waiting chairs, using Weave. You were talking about expanding retail. Now let's talk about that in the world of where people, I think they'll enjoy the experience. And then I also think that they are going to want to be in buildings maybe less time. I don't know, but in my mind, like I think of people wanting to be in and kind of out and as sanitary as possible. But then also retail was going so online anyways. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, do you think you're going to have an influx of selling retail in the salon because the experience, you're spending more time with the guest? Is that where your mind is going?
I think you hit it, right on the head. And one thing I want to be clear on, what type of business model you have has a lot to do with this. How much frills you can add to this. Four Seasons, $4.50 a night. There's cookies. There's SpongeBob letters in your tub. Hotel 6, leave the light on. Okay, that's all you get. So based on your price point, I want you to imagine it and where you live and what your value is for it. So I think there's something to be said there. But when I look at the question and the two folds of it, the thing I didn't get to on the end of it, as busy hairdressers, we suck at retail anyway.
Yeah.
And to me, what I'm asking the world to do, and I'm going to take my own advice on this, Matt, and I'd like everybody to take the challenge with me. Let's reimagine our business now and imagine what a 25% or 30% take home would do for our businesses. How much more fun could we have with our team? How much more generous could we be about going to events like The Gathering, etc., doing everything you've ever dreamed of? We need money in our kitty to be pretty. So what?
Oh, I got to write that one down.
So for me, I am trying to reimagine a new world. Now, here's the kicker on this one. Compensation for retail throughout the industry, 10%. I actually pay 20%, trying to invoke a response of them selling more. Did the system work? The answer is no, Matt. Here, I just said it, told the world. Here's what I think will work. I'm now going to give a top number to the service dollar because your performance indicator on take home is 20 and 25%. So I'll give you a bigger piece, another piece of the big pie.
That's a good call. I like that.
I think, to me, what I'm saying, let's get the team involved, and this is why we do it. The reason they don't sell retail is not the competition of the internet. That is a fact of business. I know it to be true. It's because you often suck at doing it because you're so overbooked and overwhelmed. You're not focused in the moment, and in the moment service is what we're talking about. And in the moment, you're going to make these recommendations because it's your new job. And that goes along with the new handbook you just signed. There's new rules for owners, there's new rules for staff members, but there'll be a clarity and a transparency that's never been before. So I think that's a very exciting thing. So, the question, as I say, invokes two sides to it. Was anything you wanted to add on that?
I agree. No, I mean, I agree with everything you're saying. I think in our salon, I can just speak from my experience in the salon. Most of our guests still look to us to be the professional, and they want that prescribed product that I'm using. And it is, I feel like a lot of times the biggest challenge could be that maybe the stylist doesn't have that product available to sell. And it's not available for the guest, and then they don't, so then they don't really talk about it because they can't sell it. So that part's not important. And we tend to spend so much more time on what we feel like we're getting paid on. And that is where we spend more time on the balayage or the haircut or, and we could spend more time even on the treatments too. We could use that as an upgrade, but we don't tend to spend as much time on the product for whatever reason. But I don't think that, we're still selling take home right now. We are offering curbside pickup for take home, and our guests are reaching out and like, oh my God, I'm out of Awapui shampoo. I'm out of this because now they're having to wash their hair at home. They're not going for blowouts. And I find that they're still looking to our salon as the authority on that, where certainly they could go on Amazon and buy it or, but they're just like, no, they want to support us. And I do feel and truly believe that our guests want to buy from us. It's our own challenge and it's our own, how we see it. We think they can't afford it. We're judging their wallet. We're thinking, oh God, I wouldn't pay $45 for a shampoo because we don't have to pay that much for a shampoo in our professional world. Well, so I think we judge what they can afford.
I forget, I want to talk facts again. The biggest retailers in the beauty business, Matt, are actual estheticians. And I got to believe it's because they have a plan, purpose, start, finish, procedure. And that is a remarkable result. So when it comes to the value of take home, I mentioned a percentage. Let me go to just the bottom line here. Our service dollar produced so much profit, often zero. And the profit on take home is quite nice. And depending on your buying power, which you can increase your volume, your buying power gets better. This is a business plan and I'll tell you who has it. Sometimes Aveda do a beautiful job of that. They have a strong retail footprint. We got to reimagine, and having more real estate, we can get a little more creative. We got to compete with what's out there. But that opportunity exists, and if you get the team behind it and they are motivated. Now, I used a bump in the pay, whatever reward you think is appropriate, but let's get them behind the value of it. It also leads to retention. I think there's so many aspects here that are going to help us all jumpstart with what our job is. And when we know what our job is, I think we'll be clearer on it. And, I just feel that there's evidence all around that there's other ways we could do this. We've just been given a little jolt, a wee push, if you will, to change, how people see it. And, I'm being pushed just like you guys are and like the world is. So I've loved having a voice on this, getting it out there. But Everybody's going through it at the same jump point. And, I just want to give a little shout out to you, sir. You've done remarkable things. I'm so impressed by you.
Oh,
And,
thanks, Robert.
when I got the opportunity to be with you today, I was like, absolutely. I feel like I'm on CNN here. I feel,
That's the goal.
get so, well, you've done just remarkable things, and I just think, we have a lot in common in that way. I want to see a beautiful beauty industry getting the dream job they desire in any way they can and being compensated for it.
Yeah.
People kind of, when I sit in a first class seat and people say, "What do you do?" And I say, "I'm a hairdresser." They're like, "No, really, what are you?" I said, "No, I'm a fucking hairdresser." Like, no
Yeah.
way. Uh, it's one of those things, and I'm not judging. It's not about anything. It's not about anything more than right now food and water, but it's still about you assessing your life. What type of travel? Somebody interviewed me the other day and introduced me as a salon owner and global art director, platform art. I said, so well, right now I'm unemployed on all categories. I'm not a salon owner. I have no employees.
It's true.
And
Yeah.
my favorite thing as a visionary, I start everything with is, as of today is my favorite beginning line because, we started off, as of today, we're staying open. As of today, we're closing. And as of today, you're all fired. Let's have happy hour, quarantinis.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a jolt. So, but what I do know is we get in the ready stage, especially from our company's point of view at Paul Mitchell, we have a stimulus package. We took our gathering event, which is great. We're going to go digital, which I love. I've always wanted
That's
to do
awesome.
a Grammys version of gathering. And I'll be honest, I mean, I'm sure you've been at one of our shows. I love production-y stuff. I'm very much the cat in the hat when it comes to producing. I don't need to be in a show to visualize the most incredible things. So being able to do it digitally is quite a dream of mine. And it's a different way, like the Grammys is built, because I often build a show, if you ever watch me, it's for the audience. And it doesn't always come across on camera like it could. But if it's built for camera, it's not about audience reaction. Then the trickery you can do and the
Yep.
misdirection, the pace in which you can deliver it is so intriguing. So we've taken that, we're going digital, and we're taking the money and we're giving it back to our salons. We're giving them free products, free color. We're going to help them kickstart their business, but not just with free stuff. And here's how to use it. Here's how to take advantage. Here's how to reformulate pricing. Here's how to do this. Here's how to reimagine, how to be safe from the government point of view. I mean, that's obvious, of course, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
there will be a new beginning for all of us. We'll all be affected. We do business around the world. I did a call the other day with 38 countries, Matt. I mean, they want to talk to me. You're shitting me. 38 countries of all of our distributors just all over the world. Now, one of them is Italy, which are more likely to be coming out of this sooner than we are. So we're going to learn
Yeah.
a lot from them. I've already seen hairdressers in China wearing a mask performing services. So we're going to be able to learn a lot from our other partners in the world to get that kind of voice through here to say, here's some best practices that are happening with this particular country that just started opening up business. We're going to learn so much. So there'll never have been more common knowledge in the industry. And back to Vidal, until precision cutting, we had no commonality. So there's something
Right.
beautiful to come of the crisis. And, I've always been a front-sided guy, but I just want to, give the truth to the people. The first 3 days that this happened, I called a buddy of mine, Colin Caruso, and he was down, dumb, low, the lowest I've ever seen him. He didn't have much energy, and that's not Colin. He's a Jersey boy. He's always popping a vein with,
Right. Yeah.
he's passionate. He's passionate. And I felt just sort of sofa bound. I was just laying there, and my wife sort of tipped me on the shoulder and said, when are you going to turn into Robert Cromines? So it's kind of like grieving. You can have a little grieving, but once you get over that part, it's really about that reset part. Our team are doing webinars. Our team are contributing and like never before. This is a time to really gather the thoughts of the team as well as your own and move forward with a new plan. Toyota a few years ago had an incident where some of their cars had hurt people. You guys remember
Right.
that, Matt?
Yeah, I remember that.
So when they started up again, I go, what type of slogan are they going to use to get this? You know what they said? Moving forward.
Well, I mean, that works.
That's clever. So I just said you got to take situations that happen. The thing I love is we're all in the same boat. Usually, if I do a business seminar, everybody's at a different point in their life. We're all at that same reset, and we're going to learn so much. The freelance is going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot as a company. We're affected in distribution. Our salespeople could find a way to find new values right now, because what used to be coming in with the order book could now be coming in to help you visualize your new world and your new business plan. There's so much value they could add to the business right now, because you and I can't talk to everybody. I can't personally coach people through this, but to me, I wouldn't be at Paul Mitchell if it wasn't for a consultant sort of discovering me in beauty school.
Right.
I believe there's still room for this. I think it's a time to redefine it. And I think people are going to need more networking because they're already doing it. Some of our customer groups are having, the most relevant conversation I have is with another owner, Kerry Davis, here in San Diego, because we have apples to apples business. We
Okay.
both have team salons. So, try and get into those groups, people of the world, get into your group a little bit. But I'm going to spread the word, what everybody does, because we learn from each other. I get very inspired by every division of the beauty industry, and there's no wrong way to do it. JP used to make Patron tequila. He didn't really give a shit where you drank it.
Right.
So we're not judging. We have schools. We graduate 16,000 kids a year. They're all going to different homes, from Supercuts to Sport Clips. Some are going to Beverly Hills. Some are going on television. We're an inclusive culture, and we're really proud of that at our company. And that gift package that we talked about, JP. So we talked about our clients, no matter how big or small. We're also going to give it to our non-clients.
A good
We'll
call.
give it to you either way. You need a help getting started, we're going to help you. And I work for a very generous guy, and I just know that he's going to be a gift for the beauty industry right now. And for the other manufacturers that we work with, he's going to be a benchmark you're going to have to follow, because we are going to do a remarkable thing for salons to help them recover. And we're also ready to help any other customer that needs that type of help. And how big or small does not matter. If the large percentage independence is creating a whole new consultant thought process already. So, it's a beautiful world. Since the changes have happened all over, from internet to, all the beautiful things, I've never been more excited as a hairdresser. There's a lot to see and look at. In my day, you're lucky you go to a hair show and maybe somebody gave you an old stinky video. Good luck getting information in this business. It came from platforms. It came from a very few set points. Right now, it's so visible that you can really make great choices in whatever that dream is for you. And I've loved having my wife involved. She always sort of tells me that, the salon is mine, like the kids being bad, that's your kid. But over this, I think we've really got connected on it. And at the same time, we had just let an accounting firm go that had been running our business. I mean, everything in our business for 15 years. I lost a manager that had been with us for 20 years. So it was kind of her salon, to be honest, Matt. So we were sort of trying to tiptoe in and take over and getting little inches. But we got a whole new beginning, and I feel very confident. My wife and I have the leadership, and we have the vision and scope, and she thinks like a stylist. She's not going to think like an owner. She thinks like them. And I think that's going to be a huge ace in the hole. And she's, also, she's a prime example of what I'm talking about. Mary has a $373 ticket, and she's not stacking and racking. It's 4 or 5 well-positioned guests a day. Her retail number is $23 a guest. Anya, who you may know from our show world, one of the first graduates of Paul Mitchell School, she's in the same category, 340 ticket average, fewer clients, more meaning. Donna, another one of my show people, I think it's because they learn how to value time differently because they travel with me a lot. Donna's been my assistant, or whatever you want to call it. That's just unfair. But for almost 20 years of my life, I'm confident of it. And she's one of my top stars. She's also got 2 homegrown kids that she's already been homeschooling long before this. She's a very unique woman, great lifestyle, but what she gives for the salon is incredible. But her clients are, $350 worth of quality, smaller time increments. The pace thing you brought up, I feel they need our touch, and that's why I brought up the price point. I think people want to come and relax with this. I think they need it more than they know, and I think we need it a bit. And if we are able to slow down, we can give it. What does it mean to rub a person's shoulders, give them a wash house experience to a level that think spa-like, again, that indulgence of water. We started with wash house. Years ago, we used to do Perrier water rinses, and it would tingle all over the head. Let's reimagine our wash houses, our stations. We used to do communal product. So now we're not. We're setting up each station with its own little regime picked by the stylists. I mean, everything is changing, and it's a very interesting time. And, it's also still discovery for all of us. But I'm hanging out with like-minded people like Van Council. He's, to me, the smartest guy in the beauty industry, has the most remarkable business. He's very open about it. So, and, I've had Van speak at one of my business events. So he's not shy about it. He's a leader. People, I invented a thing called the color bar, and somebody asked me how I felt about everybody ripping off the color bar. I said, Visionaries don't care.
Yeah.
We don't care. Vidal didn't care. You know, you just want to get it out there. I could care a lot. And you may know this. I don't know how long you've been around. I actually invented the TZ highlight 25 years ago. We did this. I started a crazy thing called the TZ haircut. I get no
Yeah.
love or credit for it, but me and my team and Stephanie Kachelski, we know, and I got the camera footage to prove it. I've ripped off a lot of shit, but this one come out of the cat's head, and I still love it. I still mesmerize audience with the TZ haircut. It's still a crowd pleaser. It's like
Yeah.
my old go-to. I don't care. It still makes you shit a little bit. It's a good reactionary one. And I also think it's a good time to get on tape, people, get on camera, do some stuff, you know,
Yeah.
speak to the world. A lot of you guys say you never have the time. Now you do. Learn how to edit, learn how to get an angle on it, like Larissa Doll does, like Munir does. If there's a look you want to create to yourself, this is the time to identify with it. And all the places you can't go to network, tag them, get involved on Instagram. There's so many ways to connect that we never took advantage, because some of it because of age, a lot of it because of business. Even young gamers of mine still don't pay enough attention to Instagram. So it's not generational, but I'm just saying this is a great time to use the most effective tool in the industry, which is, you know, the internet.
Yeah.
We're changing our business. We're talking about a call center in our company. So again, that's going to be a huge change to the business model. But that touch point is going to be critical, especially now. Everybody's going to want to talk about their appointment. They're
Yeah.
going to want to talk about it. There's no squeezing
Yeah.
and no stacking and racking and getting back to it. So many changes, Matt. And as I say, we're going to do our best to show the world as we do it step by step, like the physical changes, and be as vocal about it as we possibly can, and bring other great practices from other smart people around the world, regardless what company they're with. I
Right.
don't care who they are. I stole something from David Wagner the other day. David Wagner, I mean, he and I are polar opposites. But he said, take it, forget your bucket list, go to your fuck it list, he said. I said, I am taking that, David. That is classic shit. Out of David Wagner's mouth, not mine. So
That's funny.
that's just me saying prioritize your life, your business, everything. It's a reset. And, for those poor people quarantined with people you found out you don't love, good luck on that. This is an interesting time. I'm very fortunate. It's me and Mary. It's actually not that different from our normal lifestyle. I love just to be, shacked up with her. It's just a beautiful piece for me. But right now we've been working a lot. I've been doing calls, webinars, podcasts, but I can't wait to get started on the new part, getting to the set part, and
Yeah.
from every part. And as I say, we're going to share it with you. We can update you because as I say, none of us are getting through this at the same point. It's a little bit like a time-lapse pill, depending where it affects you and how you're coming out of it. But we're going to leave enough evidence of what each of us have to do to recover to this and become
Yeah.
a better person, better hairdresser, service provider, stealer of people's hearts, whatever way you want to call it. I heard the emotion when Mary made those calls, and hearing the client's voice on the call, I cried. They, we got that touch point, and I just think that this is a place that we maybe can do that thing. We all do it on stage. Oh, we love being a hairdresser, but we don't tell our faces. Maybe we can actually say we really love our clients and mean it, because we're seeing them less often. Can be good sometimes because you're not hearing the same conversation.
Yeah.
I just think there's so many upsides to how you want to look at it. I just love that, our industry's going through it all together. When the recession happened, it hurt different salons in different ways. Some
Yeah.
salons didn't even get hurt. Some of the big chain salons didn't hurt from that, sport clips especially. So I would just say the reality is we've all had a humbling. It's kind of like the housing crisis. That was a thing that happened to you at first, because like, oh, shit, I can't pay all these mortgages. But eventually it became a crisis, and then the government stepped in and sort of fixed things. So I also have buddies that are going to be able to reboot a salon that was doomed.
Yeah.
So there's an exciting place of recovery. And I also think that some people, and I give them love, are going to get off the bus because they didn't want to be there, which could mean something unbelievable, Matt. Fewer salons, more meaning.
Yeah. I agree.
Because maybe there's too many of us, and maybe that's why we're so carnivorous against each other. To me, I want to have a relationship with people. When that ends and they move on, I still would love to have a relationship with people. I've had people try to bounce back to my business since this has happened. They were in the freelance world, and they said, if you do freelance, I'll come back. I go, well, okay, that's an interesting concept. I
Yeah.
thought about a freelance business business for me because I'm very, as I mentioned, Salon Republic. I think they have a beautiful business model.
Yeah.
But then I would have to question why I owned the salon, because the Cat and Hat works off of scenarios and stories and things that happen in my business. And I love the business model, but I'm not an entrepreneur. I put every dollar I've ever made into my company. And, the reality is it was never for the return. I
Yeah.
should have thought about it more, I found out. But the point is, I put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah.
So some of this, adaptation comes at the right time in my life, in my career. Shows are going to be different. I don't know what that looks like. And in my own defense, when my team haven't seen me, I have traveled 7 million miles on hair shows. I've been
Right.
strip searched more than any human being on the planet. I mean, I've been doing stuff. I wasn't in the Bahamas
Right.
counting the take home money. I've been working a trail around the world. I get to do shows with places you would never dream of as a kid, becoming a hairdresser, like Israel. I've been to Nazareth. I've been to the Wailing Wall. I've got to do things like Peter Panish that I've done. I did a show. Israel was a remarkable. I do things in China, Japan, South Africa. I just went to Australia last year. It's an incredible. I did a show in a nightclub in Hong Kong that took a few shots of vodka to get going. They had no stage. We did it in the bar. I did it over here. They followed me around. It was the craziest hair show I've ever done. No real rehearsal. I rehearsed it in my head, and I had beautiful models, and we just went at it. And they were just, they went from judgment to awe drop. They'd never seen a razor be used either.
Oh,
Isn't that
really?
bizarre? Yeah, Hong Kong, never seen a razor cut. So
Wow.
anyway, I started the show, Bob, and it was a great experience. So we were on the road about a month. So my life moving forward is going to be different, So I'm
Right.
excited to see what that brings.
And so there was a couple questions up here, if you don't mind answering.
Yeah.
There was
I'd
just
love to.
I thought one was a good subject that said, and I think it's a good way to twist this, because you were talking about the salon being different, maybe sending out forms that your guests can fill out or whatever. And this guy, Chris Harker, who says he's also a Paul Mitchell focus artist, says, when there's a vaccine, how much of these measures do you think we should be doing? So everything that you're talking about changing in the salon, would you continue that after this vaccine? Obviously, once there's a vaccine.
It becomes the new standard. I know everybody's saying the
Yeah.
new norm. I don't love that term. It's already overused. It was already overused before this epidemic.
Right.
But just to be honest, that's really how I feel about it. I think that it's a new standard, just like in the 40s or 50s, it would be a state board or whatever. Somebody set standards. And I'll be honest, again, with the whole world of hairdressing, our salon's number one thing a client looks for is it clean, and we all go, yeah, it is. Haven't we noticed how dirty our houses are? Let's be honest, people.
Right.
They want these measures of security, and I'm not saying we got to look like the doctor's office, but they're going to want to feel it. So if it used to be you bought 2,000 square feet, I'm going to put 17 stations in it. We would want to rethink that just to be a little more open space. So it's changing the business plan and model, and that's a thing to think about. But after the vaccine, I just think these best practices will hold. I would expect, just because I've been paying a lot of attention to this, there'll be future episodes of similar things. I think this is a thing that can reoccur. And I think being prepared for it is the thing. And if it's already set, then the effects will be even less. And maybe businesses wouldn't have to close down. So it's kind of like a protection. Like every house in Israel has an air raid shelter in it.
Right. Yeah.
You didn't know you get that from me today, did you, Matt?
No, I didn't see that.
Most surprising things I've ever heard in one of my interviews.
Okay, wait. All right, so here's another one. And this is a diversion one, and I just want to bring this up. This has nothing to do with, obviously, but I like to get a soundbite from you on this. So what I hear from clients is Ulta, TJ Maxx, Amazon, all those companies offer better prices. The diversion story is old, so why stock the products anymore? So I want the Robert Cromeans point of view on this, just to kind of get it out there.
No, I love the question. And, there's been so many. There's the 1980s version. It's old, counterfeit, tampered, or diverted. The one thing I know, we don't directly sell it. And Ulta's a great customer of ours. They're a professional brand. But when it ends up in outlets, it's people doing deals on the side. That's why we loved our Amazon deal. It wasn't for what we gained on Amazon. We cleared up all the black market shit on the internet in one fell swoop. It was millions of dollars worth that nobody was seeing. It was all being bootlegged in ways out in different areas. So the stuff we see in different stores, and I'll see it in a grocery store of mine, so I know it exists, not in huge volumes. It never comes direct from us. It's people who collect and sell. And people know this to be a fact of the industry. The question I must ask ourselves, Matt, is the why is what we got to research. Let me just say to that fellow, if the why for you is not there, then you perhaps are an exception to the rule. Let your clients, help them connect. Instead of you having products in your salon, use QR codes.
Yeah.
Stick it up there and let them scan it, and you get a little credit for it. There's another way to look at every problem, Matt. For me, I want to kind of use it as a stepping stone to provide a business model cushion. I want to use the profits, just like I've chosen to sell haircuts to make money on to pay the bills. I've chosen to kind of think of my take home as a business within my business. And just as a thought, if my rent, and I have a store with rent that can be 30,000 before this crisis, I think we already got them down to 18. We're moving downwards.
Oh, good. Look at you.
But let me just say your rent's $5,000, $10,000 a month. What if you could create a business plan with retail that included making that rent the profit pay from retail towards rent? I'm going to say that again in case you want to use the clip. If you could use the profits from your take-home sales to pay the rent, whatever number that is, you could do that freelance. Kimmy Kisses does it in her solo suite. She sells about $24,000 of take-home a year, and she is able to pay her rent, which is around $400 a week. It's a whole new way to think about it. And if that makes you understand what you're doing, if you're a free lifestylist, you're now working with free rent. What a great profit you are making. So if you're a salon owner, what a great profit you are making. So it's a kind of reset and a point. I can't think what others do. The supermarkets sell tons of other products too. There's choices out there. If I neglect my client, she'll go elsewhere. If I do my job, I'll get the deal and I deserve it because I work for it. I don't know if you guys like Starbucks. You know I do. I don't always like them when they're in bonds. I don't feel it's the same consistent service.
Right.
A Paul Mitchell bottle in my salon is different than it is on a supermarket shelf. The way we touch it, the way we wrap it, the way we embrace it, the way we teach you, getting the client involved. I can make you feel it. I can make you see the result. I can make you smell it. All the things the internet can't do. The other thing I want to remind all of us during this downtime as we reset, get educated. I'm sick of people go, oh, my favorite product, and they don't even know its name, right? If you know a product, you got to know it. I know things and ingredients, and people, it's kind of like my remark about Israel, but there's an ingredient we make for scalp care, and it's kakadu, pea peptides, ginseng. I mean, I have to learn this stuff like every other educator to sound like an authority in front of my audience and also to sound like an authority in front of my client. So you want to kind of really know your stuff, whether you're talking to an ingredient enthusiast or whether you're talking to somebody who lacks volume or luster. We want to get good at it, putting it into words, a bit of a script too, if you use that you can follow, and you'll get good at it and you'll see the value on it. And if you could see it as an industry have an income, for all of us independently, it would be better. And for salons, it would be the greatest gift of all because they could do things to help the cultural side of the business, which is the most important. The community you all say you miss so much, how are we going to maintain this afterwards? I'm going to have happy hours with my team every Friday night. Tonight is joke night.
Okay.
So we have 50 or 60 people, 3 states on a call, and everybody's going to tell a joke. And, we had a drag party. It wasn't a drag party. It was a dress-up party. We started off just with quarantinis, but we've also had serious business chats about how's the books are going to look, what's the schedule's going to look like, what are we going to charge. And for most of my staff, they've got a good heavy ticket, but a lot of them find themselves discounting just by scared. We have a new guy at the desk. My son worked at the desk for a bit. He would say they've got the ticket. We bring it up and they go, well, let me go to the history. That means they're going back for an old price. And for a lot of my team, when they had to grow to that responsibility of charging, I'm going to help as an owner saying, hey, the cost of businesses went up and so be it. The cost of things have went up. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised, but we're all doing it together. So that's a great way to catch up, a great way to fix perhaps what was broken. So it's a great way to adjust and pivot, as my coaches would say.
I like that. All right. So I got another quick question for you. And I like this too. Really, I'm just trying to pull all these Robert Croming's points of view from you so I can steal them and post them later. All right. So
that's where I got him, Matt. Ask Anthony. He's going to be so mad at this. He's going to be so pissed.
Well, that's why we're live.
We got off a call. 20 minutes ago, he said, I made it and I'm putting it up tonight. I said, I'm going to put it on Matt's show before you do it. He probably thought I was lying, but I
Yeah,
sure
well,
did steal the shit out of it. So I am a pirate in every way.
yeah, yeah. You're a pirate, and I'm fast. I'm so quick. Only on the internet, but not. But yeah. So all right, Jess Mack. She says, I'm 34. I'm in hair school in Australia, so a little older than most who start out. What advice do you have for me trying to enter into the workforce once this is over?
Beautiful question.
Yeah.
Matt, you may not know, I didn't go to beauty school till I was 24.
Okay.
And I've met people in beauty school that are 65 years old. Once I was talking to a future pro and I thought he owned the school and it was a future professional. He kind of looked like a banker type, right? So the thing I would say that what I really value, and especially in our industry, some people out there in the tech world maybe have an IQ, and I'm not saying all of us don't have an IQ. Of course we do, but we definitely have an AQ. And what a hairdresser's greatest skill is the AQ of life. It's how we handle people. It's having that chairside manner, if you will. Being able to, me and my Mary can go anywhere in the world and walk into any situation and create conversation. We have no problem doing it. It's what we do for our jobs. We're very social. So it's kind of thinking that way, that you've got all that life experience and you're going to put it in. They're going to look at you right away and assume you've been doing hair a while, and I'm going to give you permission to lie about it. I lied for the first few years. How long have you been doing hair? I figured better tell them 10 years than 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I grew into the lie, and the lie caught up. So sometimes people ask me how long I've been doing hair. I forget because I lied for so long. And I remember when it came up to 10 years, I should have broadcast it then, but I opted not to. Eventually I hit the 10-year marker and beyond, but I just think it's okay to kind of lie a little bit. And the other thing I got to tell you, home play, my darling. Study, practice, get on a doll head if you can. If it's somebody at home, you can highlight their hair with conditioner. Just keep playing, getting your practice up, because what I need now is not an assistant. What I need is a stylist. So if you lived in my town, the best tool you could do is show me a little bit, get some Instagram going, come in and show me your audition, show me what you can do, and I will give you a chair. And here's the hours you got to go out and hustle and book, because it's network or not work. The first question I'll ask a future employee, how many clients you're going to bring in? Some of them look at me like I asked an insane question. What are you bringing to the table? And all of you need to think about this as an independent. You need traffic. You need new traffic all the time. So it is about networking. And for you young kids out there, you've got a chance now to come into my salon. I'm going to give you some time, not a lot at first, and you're going to earn your way in guest by guest. And every client you touch will return. The dropout rate after 3 experiences is phenomenal. I hate you, Millennium, for giving me data. But the reality is, if we do something about it, one of my salons, I have another coach. I work with Inspiring Champions, but Lauren Gartland, she's a great organization. But, she questioned one of the performances in one of our stores, and it was on retention. It was a big score, and it was devastating, Matt, a terrible one. And Mary told me what the coach said. I wasn't on the call. And I said, baby, I know how to fix it. She goes, how would you fix that? I said, I just make every client get a phone call after every experience.
That's a
and
good
that
call.
will fix it. Because you would start to hear from a client, well, actually, I don't think you listened to me, or actually, I loved it, or I forgot to rebook. I don't care what it is. We got to start having conversations with people. We're in the people business. Instead of trying to see 200, let's have a relationship with 50 or 60 of them, and that could change your world. I've seen a successful salon in H2O, they're called. I believe they're in Georgia. They're very involved with the church, and they have an incredible, passionate clientele through what their lifestyle is. I think this is a time to really identify. And if you've got clients you love, think about that when you're booking the new ones. They're all dying to get in. Who do you want to see? Right? And you could be a little stingy here. I asked my team in Oklahoma, I said, have the client describe their level of pain. Is that a 1 or a 5? So I know how to prioritize you. There was conversation about those hot spots having more perhaps cost. That's not unbelievable, but I think the first step is giving it all a nice cost to see. And if it is heavy in demand, you can't control it based on certain individuals, then there could be a higher bracket, but that particular individual may need a higher bracket anyway. So I just say we don't want to be too chintzy on it, and we don't want to keep fluctuating. We want to come up with, now what are we going to do? Back to Anthony Steele. So after we had been creative, now what can we do? What would we save? What are we going to do as we go back to work and that light turns green? And, as I say, some of us, I don't know how long it's going to last, Matt. So it's a very interesting one. I don't think it's settled my mind. I'll probably before I go stir crazy, I'm going to go show crazy. I'm going to miss doing shows, but I am going to do a show. I've got so many doll heads here that Mary has to work on. I'm going to do a hair show. I did a model call the other night. It was fascinating.
Yeah.
I said to a doll head, I said to Mary, I want to cut this one shorter. She told me no.
Oh, nice.
And then I showed her a picture I seen on Hairbrain, and she said, okay. It sounded like a client exchange. I mean, it was really quite interesting. So I am going to try and do a hair show. I'm going to film it because I don't trust things going live broadcast, but
Yeah.
I'm going to put the music on. My composer made a new track of music. So I'm going to put some doll heads up and I'm just going to whap through them. I may have a quarantini before I do it. And I'm just going to play with some hair like the Grand Wizard I think I am sometimes on stage.
It's so funny because I wish you could see my notes. So literally I have like 20 notes on here. And that was the last thing I was going to talk about with you. And you literally nailed every single thing that I had up here. So I mean, either you're just that well rehearsed, and as I was studying everything you were talking about, you were just going to hit it anyways, but it worked really well. The one thing I want to say is that to everybody out there watching, you guys have been watching me for a long time. Maybe you're seeing this for the first time. Maybe you're seeing Robert. Who knows? I don't know how you haven't seen Robert, but when 16 years ago now, 2004, I was 3 months at a beauty school and I went to my first hair show in Chicago and I saw Robert Cromings for the first time. And I've talked about this a lot on my channel. But you know, I didn't know, I joined hair school because I didn't know what I was doing with my life. I had never touched hair before. I played music and, you know, I went to school. And when I called the school, I said, do guys do this? Because I didn't even know. I grew up in farm country of Illinois. So, you know, they said, guys, do it and they can make great money. So I signed up. 3 months into it, I loved it. But I went to my first hair show and I saw you. And I didn't leave that stage the entire day. I sat there. I waited until you came back on. You would leave for a while. You would come back. And it was just at that moment I said, you know what? This is what I want to do. This is definitely what I want to do. Yeah. So that's when I signed up for Paul Mitchell. I moved to near Philadelphia, worked for Sam Burns, but I even applied with Kelly Cardenas at your salon in Vegas while I was out at the Gathering for the first time. And, you know, what I want to say about that to people, especially younger people that are starting out, is that I spent the first 10 years of my career educating for Paul Mitchell, trying to get you to notice what I was doing. And what that did for me, and what I love about thinking back to my career and just everything that's happened, that pushed me to keep wanting more and more. So teaching 80 classes a year and, you know, traveling as much as I could, volunteering as much as I could, you know, it honed me into being able to teach on the internet and being able to do all these things, and just the knowledge of understanding salon business and all this stuff, like being able to rehearse your CDs front to back, you know, that kind of thing. And you did that for so many artists. And a lot of people talk about, like, because I do hair cutting on YouTube now, and I do hair education on all the social platforms. And, you know, occasionally, not that often, but you get that comment of, you know, what if people try to do this at home? And this is something I've thought about so much over the last few weeks, because so many people are freaking out about their clients trying to do their own hair. And what I try to tell people is, nobody, even if they watched a YouTube video of me cutting hair and learned kind of how to do a haircut, they will never replace me in the 16 years of studying every single day how to become the best hair cutter I could, or the best hair colorist I could, or whatever. And, you know, I put out a video yesterday about how to edit hair videos. And, you know, the first question in my mind was, should I put this out because I'm teaching people how to do it, and then I'm replaceable or whatever? And then you think about it, you're like, only if somebody, so if that client wanted to watch and spend 10 years of their life studying and learning how to cut hair, they can replace you. And if you can be replaced that easy, then you need to take this time to study and learn and be coached by people like Robert, and get education from companies like Paul Mitchell and Free Salon Education and all of that. So what I know, you kind of talked about people doing their own hair and all of that stuff, or people selling hair color and everything. There's been a lot of questions in the chat about it. So the end of this, I want to say thank you to you for doing something that you didn't even know you were doing, but it was driving me to kind of to get that path. And when I felt like I needed to just kind of shift and go on my own, I did that after 10 years working for Paul Mitchell. and then Paul Mitchell came back and, you know, supported free salon education for years now. What is your thought behind just kind of summing up this whole thing, the whole 3 weeks, people doing their own hair, you know, just give people that kind of comfort, I guess you could say, in a Robert Cromeans way?
Yeah, well, I've always kind of loved the industry, and I love what you said. And I don't really remember the 16 years ago, but I do remember the moment in my time there. This is a trade show where I, like the Pied Piper, people would hang on those stages. And, you know, for me,
Yeah.
I miss those trade shows the most, probably of anything. I do great production shows now, but I love being a busker. I love creating conversation, igniting people.
Yeah.
Now, much like the internet, people will only stand on a trade show floor for, I think, 12 seconds or something stupid, 12 minutes. If yeah, that's the fact of it. Take any exhibit, not hair shows. That's not how I work. I create conversation. I talk to an audience. When I do this abroad, people go, wow, nobody ever talks to us like this. It's creating a conversation. Sometimes I'll jump in the crowd, I'll lay on the floor with them and watch the show with them and talk to them while I'm doing it. But it's a great, again, back to what we crave is the touch point. And, you know, I feel confident as a platform artist, especially with some that I met through Instagram, people like Guy Tang. He mentioned to me and Stephanie, the first hair show he ever seen was me and Steph. And Steph's always had been doing wicked color. So we feel great that we put enough in, but everybody has a voice right now, and that's awesome. And yet I was so lucky in my grow up as I got to listen to Vidal talk on numerous occasions and other great, brilliant leaders in the industry. Obviously JP, but in a day, Paul Mitchell. He was definitely a visionary, a pioneer like you have done. You know, everybody's waiting for me, Robert Cromeans, to give them a platform. And especially right now, it's the same message. Create one, dumbass.
Right.
When I was a young kid, it wasn't necessarily I was being blocked, but we were doing certain things. And they told me a product knowledge class couldn't cut hair in it because, you know, you weren't allowed to or whatever. I started cutting hair in it. They said, what type of show you want to? I said, I want to take my salon team. It'd never been done before. And we started
Right.
traveling like a rock band, you know, 7 or 8 players deep. And all of these guys became pretty famous too. So
Yeah.
it is a kind of wheel of evolution and passing it on. But, you know, pick your heroes wisely, pay attention to the right folks. Not everybody with a microphone is a leader. I've got to lead my own team, and all I'm sharing is what we're doing as a team to continue and what we plan to do at Paul Mitchell. But you know, it's a beautiful industry, and no matter how you interpret it, find the lifestyle that's right for you. And what you've done with it is set a precedence. And the fact that we got to reverse play this, so it goes from I used to want to work for a guy in Scotland called Irvin Rusk. I don't know if you ever heard that name.
I know. Yes.
And when I was a kid, I was too scared to ask him. And then one night in a bar in Chicago, we're having drinks. I said, I used to want to work for you, but I was too scared. And he said, well, you can work for me now. I said, no chance. You know, no chance.
Right.
But I love you, but not really. I started as a young kid in Memphis, Tennessee, and my distributor that I worked for as an educator had 3 product lines, Paul Mitchell, Goldwell, and he picked up a new one. So he wanted me to go educate. It was called Bricado. So I went to Houston, hung out with Visible Changes, and I was kind of auditioning for the team, I guess, and I didn't get any job or call back or thank you. And years later, I talked to Simon. I always thought he remembered me, but he never had. And I said, do you remember me? And he said, and I told him the story, and he knew shit. He nearly had Robert Cromeans working for his company. That would have been a fine. You know, he wished he had, and I wished I had taken more advantage. But sometime when that block is there, it's being creative as a problem solver. That's what we are as hairdressers, finding a way around it, not bellyach and the system's screwed. Some of those young Instagrammers that started so heavy, then got bitter against the system because their indie label went south. And all the indies got jobs with manufacturers. We're right back to where we started on this episode. I love all of that shift. The people chose new leadership. It was like an overthrowing of the government and the educational faces of our industry. It needed that refresh. And I've sort of somehow at my age managed to keep in there a little bit. I went to the Behind the Chair show a few years ago, and nobody knew who the hell I was until I performed. And then it was like a line for the bathroom of the bar. Once they seen me, never seen me before, and it was like, oh, this is like too easy for me.
Yeah,
this
that's
is what
the
I
best.
do. They thought I was having a good day. I had an okay day, but they thought I was having a great day, you know. And as I've returned, like Mary would know all of them, she'd be pointing out who they were and help me understand who was who. And over the last 3-4 years doing the show, I get a lot of love from these people, a lot of celebration. They look forward to seeing the wizard, the cat in the hat. They have a lot of respect because they know I still do what they do. And, you know, I'm a tough act to follow on a show. And one thing I love about when I do shows, I watch other people's shows. So if I think you're killing it, I'll be the first guy backstage going, "You killed that."
Yeah.
And I'll also be the first guy to say, "What happened there? Your video was awesome." But after that, the audience deserve a great show. And whether I'm going to headline or whether I'm going to steal the show, that's up to me. But you should all come in with that attitude that you have got to absolutely give the audience what they pay for. I am hoping in your future, Matt, you start to organize events because I think there's a need. People want to get together. We learned from BTC Hairbrand. We learned that there is a side to our community that used to be a hair show. And I don't think we need all the frills of a hair show to get together. And there's still ways to connect. So, I would love to be able to do that. I got to watch some heroes in action as a kid, people that some people wouldn't, maybe even know their names. But I've seen the best in the world at the highest levels from the best salon. A company I love is Jacques Desage. A man called Bruno Pettini was his name. You can Google it, you'll find him.
Okay.
Boy had one of the most beautiful taste levels, beautiful eye. I seen him do a hair show in Chicago, 10 models, 1 hour, with a team of 10 behind him, and they were cleaning it up, blow drying it. And you know what the most beautiful thing about watching his performance? He didn't speak English. When the team were behind him and he did all 10 haircuts kind of quick and tricky, not big changes, little tickles. He's kind of French, little tickles. Goes down the line, does all 10. He then goes to the back of the stage, goes down on one knee, Matt, and the team come forward and start cutting hair and doing the hair on the 10 models as he sits on his knee watching them.
That's cool. I like that.
So the things I've been able to see, I just hope to be able to pass that on of, not necessarily telling old stories about old guys you don't know. Through my example of how I live my life as Robert Cromie's, I will show you the things that I get to do for a living that are quite remarkable. I do shows in front of 12,000 people. Talk about shit your pants dangerous with shit I don't even know I can do. 9 models in a 30-minute segment. I don't know. I wonder what I'm doing. So, I love the creativity of the industry. I love to be able to use it in different avenues, depending what hat I want to put in. And right now I'm just, happy for this opportunity to be with you, spend a bit of time. We could do it more often. The last one we did was Millennium Conference.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Yeah.
Yeah. But we can follow up a bit. And again, I'll keep you guys posted. Keep an eye on my pages. You'll see what moves we're making. And as I say, what a great honor this was this morning. We almost didn't get through, guys.
I know.
We had a technical error. Mary, my wife, was going crazy. I was just chilling on the balcony. I have a seagull I've adopted. I live on a beach, and unfortunately for our world, people leave mess. So the gulls kind of eat off all the mess that they leave, and then the government come clean it every day, and it's gorgeous back to La Jolla. But this one little bird came up the other day, got pretty close, so eventually I fed it. Come back every day now, and it's getting closer and closer. I'm going to have it on my back or shoulder on my next episode. I've got a pet seagull,
What's his name?
His name's Steven Seagal.
Well, that's where I'm from. People have pet squirrels. So, I mean, a seagull sounds a little bit better. I mean, they're like the squirrels of the sea, right?
No, who can judge me? Absolutely. I can take it.
So,
I did.
No. So, all right. What'd you?
Did we get anywhere?
I
Sorry, I
think we're
did
good.
wow. I just wanted to say hello and goodbye.
Oh, no. I
words?
appreciate both of you. Any final thoughts?
From me?
Yeah.
Stay home.
You want to read the poem?
Stay home.
Dear.
Can we read the poem, Matt?
Yeah, you can read the poem for sure.
My final thoughts are stay home because it's important to all of our livelihoods. Stay healthy, keep yourself healthy and strong because when we get back in the salon, we're going to be so busy. And this is a great time for us to build up our immunity, build up our frame of mind. And focus now on what you're going to do differently in the salon when we do get to go back. Because I think if you wait and think it's going to happen on day one when we're allowed to open, you're going to be crazy. We really need to be prepared for this. So
it has come up with our clients' conversation. They have inquired about what will be different about us when we restart. So they've already been inquiring from the people we've made contact with. So
I can read this,
I'm going to change.
and then I have to go because I have another webinar in 4 minutes.
All right,
you guys are great. Take us out.
Here, she's got to get into character. She's going to.
I don't have my glitter lipstick on. This is not fair. But anyway, okay.
All right, there it is.
So, the Cat in the Hat wrote a poem. all about staying at home. Even if your clients are feeling sad, going to their house is really bad. Even though their bangs are sprouting, that doesn't mean we're having an outing. Even if they are 50 shades of gray and they offer to pay, just say no way. To the blonde, the blonder, and the blondest, going to your house is breaking a promise. The Cat in the Hat would like to be honest. Making house calls, that's downright dishonest. In this moment, I must be insistent. April distance will create our May existence. Stay home.
Baby,
Very
you're
good.
remarkable.
The way that I read.
Yes.
Thanks,
was
Matt.
good.
You're amazing. Keep
You
doing
guys
what you
too.
do.
Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you guys. We'll do it again soon for sure. See you,
Sure, man.
Robert.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. All righty. Let me see. Let me throw this up here. I'm going to take this thing out here. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast live. I hope you enjoyed that. That was a long one, but I'll chop it up and cut it up and repost it in categories for you guys like we always do. Or listen to the whole thing because you're the best. And we appreciate that. Thank you to MinervaBeauty.com. Check out MinervaBeauty.com/FSE for the best deals of the day. If you're looking to upgrade your salon, change your salon a little bit, get new furniture at a discounted price right now so that you can change things up, make them clean, make them look nice, simplify things like Robert was saying. I hope you guys took a lot of advice from that. I see that everybody in the chat, you guys are very welcome. And that's it. Put that palm up as one. They have it. Go check out Robert Cromines at Robert Cromines on Instagram. You can find Mary on Instagram as well. I actually tagged them in my story, so you can just go right to that. This video will be available for full replay, and also I'll chop it up, just like I said. Thank you guys so much for being a part of the Free Salon Education community and the audience of Minerva Beauty that's watching right now on Facebook. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys are enjoying this podcast series, and it's helping you guys out. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.